It is not Mary Kay Cabot of anywhere else but Cleveland.com, and she joins us now on a Victory Tuesday. What's up, Mary Kay?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What'd you think of those PFF grades, Mary Kay?
You know, sometimes the PFF grades seem so off to me, and I think there are certain positions where they do a better job than others, but sometimes it just doesn't seem to match up with what we are seeing with our own two eyes, and they come out so fast, too. It's hard to believe that they can really evaluate all of that film so quickly. And so, I think sometimes you have to take them with a grain of salt. I know the players do.
Yeah, I mean, they have some value, certainly. And to be fair, those guys, I don't know about you, Mary Kay, but those guys are watching every play, whoever's doing the analysis. I'm not going back and studying what every player did on every play like I assume they are, but I don't know. But one player I know that played well both by our eyes and by the PFF grade, we'll start with him, and that's Myles Garrett. He wasn't actually the highest-rated guy, but, man, he was feeling himself, and he had such an impact on this game. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him. Like, he's obviously had great games, but he was so confident, so cocky. He was, like, thrilled, the kid in the candy store, to have all that talent around him, and he was tremendous leading the way on Sunday.
Yeah, he really was. And I think that, number one, I think he loves Jim Schwartz. I think Jim Schwartz's old school attack-minded mentality is sitting really, really well with Myles. I think he feels like he's got plenty of control in this defense to do what he kind of wants when he wants to. I think he's going to do some really cool things. Like you saw him, stand up and line up over the center. I think he'll be inside, he'll be outside, he can find favorable matchups, and he should be able to really make, finally, a really strong run for NFL Defensive Player of the Year. If he can't do it in this defense with this defensive coordinator, then I don't know when it'll ever happen, because it seems poised to happen this year.
I said the same thing. Mary Kay, obviously Jack Conklin went down. What's the feeling with DeJuan Jones going in at tackle and just the tackle situation period?
Well, the tackle situation period, this is an accelerated development, obviously, for DeJuan Jones, and he's got to put the big boy pants on. He's got to get out there. Not only does he have to make his first NFL start in Pittsburgh, but he's got to face TJ Watt. What a way to begin your NFL career. But so it is, and that's going to happen on September 18th. The thing about DeJuan Jones, and I will be writing more about this over the next couple of days, is the fact that he really wants to be great, and he's worked really, really hard. I've watched him very closely throughout all of training camp. I watched him throw up on the first day of rookie minicamp. I've watched almost everything else that has happened with him since then, and I've seen a lot of growth. I've seen a lot of development. He still has a ways to go. Sometimes he has to learn how to use that size, even more effectively. You can't bend and move the way some smaller guys can, and so he's going to have to figure out how to use his size as even more of an asset. But I do think that you will see him get better and better week by week because he's got the desire.
Mary Kay, G and I have been crushing Jedrick Wills. I know you've defended him. Jason on our show has defended him a lot. We both thought he played a terrible game this past week, and I know he was looking for injury there. How concerned are you about him? Or are you still confident he can at least be average? And is there any injury concern with him?
There is no injury concern for him apparently heading into the game, or at least, the x-rays on whatever he had x-rayed were negative. Again, that doesn't always mean anything, of course, when you're dealing with soft tissue issues as well. But when I asked Kevin Stefanski about the injury risk for Wills, he said there wasn't anything really to worry about and that he will be playing in this game. He did not have a great game against the Bengals, and he's going to have to take it up a notch in this next game. And he doesn't have a whole long time to really prove himself. He's got this year, and he is under contract next year for the guaranteed rate of $14.175 million in his fifth-year option year. So it's not like this is his make or break year. I've seen that written and talked about before, but it's not really necessarily his make or break year. But they do need to see more out of him for him to continue to be the starting left tackle of the Cleveland Browns. And I had been thinking that if it didn't go the way they wanted it to go, that maybe DeJuan would contend opportunity there. But now, of course, he's got to start on the right side. let's see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, I mean, why not try flip-flopping those guys and see if you can't get more out of Jed on the other side?
I like that. I like that feeling. Mary Kay, when you look at it with DeSean Watson, I think 154 yards, 40 some odd yards on the ground. Is the feeling that Kevin Stefanski believes that a lot of it was due to the rain? Because there was some balls that DeSean really skipped, like balls that came up 5 yards short, 3 yards short here or there. I said earlier, I try not to look at it through a lens of it was just him, because Joe Burrow had one of his worst games of his life too, and they played in the same environment. Are the Browns a little nervous about that, or do they think that was just a weather game and he'll be ready to go?
I think they are attributing it mostly to the rain and, maybe giving him a little bit of a pass for this week. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going to say, you know what? Neither quarterback handled the elements very well. It was a weird, misty rain. It never stopped. It never let up. You didn't have a moment to get the ball dry. The hands were wet. The ball was heavy. And so I'm going to attribute it to that and to a few other things, such as, he was off a couple times with Marquise Goodwin. Let's remember that Marquise Goodwin missed all of training camp with blood clots. So it might take those two guys a little time to get their deep ball mojo down together. But for this particular game, I'm willing to give DeSean mostly a pass, not all, but mostly a pass for the weather. Now he's got to come out in the next game, correct those mistakes, figure out what was going wrong. I heard him say somewhere that he was trying to grip the ball too tightly, so he was overcompensating because of the rain. So, so let's see if he can't get that right in the next game.
Mary Kay, Pittsburgh comes in dinged. What will the loss of Johnson on the offensive side and Heyward on the defensive side, will that change at all what the Browns do? How will that impact the game Monday night?
Well, Cam Heyward, the great defensive tackle out of Ohio State, has always been a thorn in the Browns' side. He's had tremendous games against the Browns. He's got over 11 and a half sacks against the Cleveland Browns. He has, forced fumbles, swatted down passes. In the last game, the season finale last season against DeSean, he had 2 sacks. I think he batted down a pass. He had like 8 tackles or something like that. He kind of had a monster game. And, he obviously would have been looking for more of the same. He loves getting up against the Cleveland Browns and playing them and trying to beat them. And I think his record is something like 15-4 or whatever against the Browns. And so, it is a big break, I think, for the Browns not to have to face Cam Heyward. Now, having said that, of course, they're without their own all-pro right tackle in Jack Conklin. So there's a little bit of an offset there. So we'll have to see how that goes. But Cam always has huge games against the Browns. I think he would have helped make it very difficult for DeSean Watson.
Mary Kay, last week we didn't get to see a key acquisition from the Cleveland Browns and Juan Thornhill. Do you know the status of him, if he will be able to play this week against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think he'll be able to play because obviously they have an extra day, and he also tried to play on Sunday against the Bengals. So if you're going to try to play against the Bengals, you should certainly be able to play the next time out. And, as long as he doesn't have any setbacks, if he goes out there and practices and doesn't re-injure it and kind of takes it easy a little bit, then I think he should be okay.
Very good. We asked Cameron, we had a reporter from the NFL Network on in the first hour, and we asked him if what he saw in week 1 changed his thinking of the hierarchy in the AFC North. And I know obviously your focus is on the Browns exclusively, but you saw what happened to Pittsburgh. You saw what Baltimore was able to do. And we don't want to overreact, but
Yes, you do.
You
want to overreact.
Well, it's all we have, Bull. I mean, it's all we have. How, if at all, did what happened in week 1 change your view of the AFC North?
I headed into the season saying that the Browns should either win the AFC North or get a wild card spot win at least 11 games and go deep into the playoffs. So it didn't change how I felt about the Browns by any stretch of the imagination. I really did feel like this was a year that they were going to be a lot better. They were going to make a lot of noise. I think, I looked at the Cincinnati Bengals and I thought, the Browns just did so much more to get better, to improve themselves in the offseason. And I thought they were going to make a run for it heading in, and I still feel that way.
Yeah. Boy, J.K. Dobbins tearing the Achilles for the Ravens and the Steelers coming out. Obviously against a very good Niners
the Ravens
team,
had an injury. I don't think it's that big a deal to me, but because he hasn't been a factor for them much.
No, but he was a guy they were counting on heavily this year.
Yeah, I don't know that. How could you count on him heavily? He never stays healthy.
You're starting running back. You
I
count
know that,
count heavily on
but
your starting running
they
back.
have other backs there that have experience.
They do, and they've said they're not going to go out and pick someone up on the market.
They
They're
have three other veteran backs, including Melvin Gordon there. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank, but
I don't
in
trust
terms
him.
of the Bengals and Steelers,
He's out of gas.
I don't know. Listen, I thought I'm not going to change my opinion on any of these teams. I thought I had predictions for all these teams when the season started. I'm not going. The only team I've changed my mind on in the NFL after Week 1 is the Jets because Aaron Rodgers is out for the year. So to me, unless I thought the Browns were going to be good, I still think the Browns are going to be good. I don't think they're going to be better because of how they played in Week 1. I certainly don't think they're going to be worse. No, it's one game. You can't allow. I think it's a mistake.
Based on what they, and I don't want to take up Mary Kay's time here with this discussion, but based on what we saw out of that defense and the atrocity that we saw out of the defense last year.
Right, but it's 1 week. It's not enough of a sample size.
It doesn't move your meter at all?
It doesn't.
Still locked on exactly where it was?
I already thought they were going to be a lot better defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked them to go 10-7. They won 7 games last year. That's a pretty huge improvement.
It is.
Okay, Mary Kay, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Good.
So we can stop this.
Yeah.
Jerome Ford, we didn't get a chance to see him in the preseason. Obviously, he comes out there in the regular season game, has a little fumble, but for the most part, how did you like his game?
You know what? I think Jerome is going to get better week by week. He missed most of training camp with a hamstring injury. And I'll tell you, I haven't seen many guys miss most or all of training camp and just waltz right in and have a good early part of the season. Sometimes it lingers on throughout the whole entire season. So he did not handle that well. The fumble, you can't be doing that. But I think he will get better as the weeks go by. And I think that we saw Nick Chubb do some of the things that we thought he was going to do, like catch the ball out of the backfield and stay in there more on third down. I think this is a work in progress. It will evolve over time, and Jerome can grab more of those old Kareem Hunt type reps as the weeks go by.
Okay, and then another guy whose name I don't even think got called one time, or if he did, I missed it. David Njoku. They paid him top 5 tight end money. Obviously, I know the weather was a part of it, but moving forward, do we see more of him? Does he look like that top 5 tight end this season?
You know what? I think he does. I really believe that he's going to flourish with DeSean Watson. Now, it will be different week to week, depending on the game plans. But, I've said this so many times before, and now it's time, for me to back it up, too, that I believe that he is an 8 touchdown a year tight end with a quarterback like DeSean Watson. So, if he doesn't do that this year, then I'll be having to eat my words, because that's what I feel like he's capable of, when he can sky, the ball in the end zone and in the red zone and just tower over some of these smaller defensive backs. And I think he's been catching the ball better. So I still think he's going to have a good year.
Mary Kay, I look around the league every year, and I think it comes down to a mindset. And we could go back on the past and say what teams did this year or last year. I look around the AFC, and yes, there's some good teams out there, but you just look down the list of teams, and everybody seems to have a flaw. Kansas City has Travis Kelce out. They got a bunch of young guys they're trying to work into the mix. They did get Chris Jones back, which was a big one, coming with the one-year deal. But you look at the other teams, the Jets, obviously, down Aaron Rodgers. You look across the Patriots. Okay, the Patriots are Patriots, right? The Dolphins look like they have a really good offense, but I don't know how much they're going to, stop people. They're giving up a lot of points. And I just look around, Burrow, we saw that. We saw what's going on in Pittsburgh. I'm looking at the AFC and being like, look, if you can go in and beat a Pittsburgh team and you can put 2 up in the division with an opportunity to play the Ravens, I think that's a big opportunity that the Browns have not had in a very long time to look up and possibly say we can win go up 2-0, and then play the Ravens for 3. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, you know what? I think the Browns can beat, anyone in the NFL right now. I mean, there's not a team that I look at and think that they have no chance against that team. I think when you build so tough through the lines, the offensive line and the defensive line, that's going to give you time to throw the ball. That's going to allow you to run the ball, and it's going to allow you to get to the quarterback. I think it's been a great strategy. It was sort of what it's sort of what the Eagles have done. Really, really good offensive line, really, really good defensive line. It makes it so that you can be in any game, that you can win any game. And, when I look out there, I just don't see a team that they can't beat. And I do think, as of right now, like I said, I picked them to go 11-6. I still feel pretty good about that. We'll see how it goes. Again, you can't overreact to the first week, but I think they're going to go into Pittsburgh and win that game. I think they're better than the Steelers. I think the Steelers, they don't, as we talked about, they don't have Deontay Johnson now. They don't have Cam Heyward. They got kind of beat up by the 49ers. Now, they do usually come back after a loss like that and rebound, but I think the Browns are just going to, I think they're going to kind of take it to them.
Mary Kay, bold prediction, and I'm putting you on the spot. At the end of this season, Martin Emerson, will he be viewed as a CB1 or CB2 of this team, or do you think he continues to be looked at as the third best corner on this team?
Oh, you know what? I think he can challenge for CB1. I think he can actually challenge for CB1. He's going to be really good. I talked to him the other day and I said, I've written this, I see Pro Bowl potential in him. I don't know if it'll happen this year or not. He almost got an interception in this game, but he was out of bounds. So I think he can be a dominant cornerback. He's got tremendous size, and now he's got all these guys around him. I don't know if he's got stiff competition from Denzel and Greg, but I think he can make a serious run at cornerback 1.
We like
Thanks,
that.
Mary Kay.
Mary Kay, thanks. Great stuff. We'll talk next week.
Appreciate you.
Sounds great.